What if I told you that being extremely good actually makes you evil?
That's a heavy start.
Right. Or, that pursuing your goals with literally everything you have is mathematically guaranteed to destroy them.
Yeah, it completely flips how we usually look at reality.
Exactly. We usually see life as this collection of separate things. You have your career, your relationships, the physical stuff you own. And if one of those compartments goes wrong, you try to fix that one isolated thing.
Which makes sense on the surface.
Yeah. But what if that entire way of looking at the universe is completely upside down? Today, we are taking a deep dive into this wildly provocative text from 2010 by Yu Feng, translated by Transon and edited by Kair. It's called The Eight Dialectics of the Universe.
It really is a remarkable piece of work. I mean, the entire text is essentially a blueprint for something called Taiji thinking.
And just to clarify for you listening, Taiji,
Yeah, for those listening who might only associate that word with, martial arts or slow movements in the park, Taiji in this context refers to the supreme ultimate. It's the fundamental mechanism of the universe itself.
like the bedrock of how things work.
Exactly. It's the symmetry of yin and yang, the absolute unity of opposites. The basic premise is that opposing forces like light and dark or success and failure, they aren't enemies fighting each other.
Right, they're not at war.
No, not at all. They are a single, unified system operating on very specific, completely unbreakable rules.
I have to admit, though, when I first saw the title, The Eight Dialectics of the Universe, I braced myself.
This is a heavy title.
It sounds like something you need like 3 PhDs in metaphysics to even approach. But our mission for you today is to cut through all that academic density and find those real aha moments.
Yeah, we want to get right to the practical application.
Exactly. We want to skip the overwhelm and get straight to how these ancient-sounding principles actually dictate the modern life you're living right now.
Okay, let's unpack this. So, to really grasp the mechanics of Taiji thinking, the text demands that we start at the absolute foundation.
Right at the bottom.
Right. We have to look at what reality is actually constructed from and, how it manages to stay balanced.
Yeah, the text opens with this massive concept, Body Section 1, the blueprint of reality. And it claims that the universe consists of 3 non-material elements: consciousness, structure, and energy.
Which sounds straightforward enough.
But then it hits you with this massive paradox. It says that alone, each of these 3 elements is emptiness.
Emptiness. Yeah.
Like you can't see them, hear them, or touch them. But when they combine, they create all the infinite forms we see around us. The direct quote is, form is emptiness and emptiness is form.
A classic paradox.
So I'll be honest, I got completely stuck here. I mean, how can something solid like the chair I'm literally sitting in right now,
Yeah.
how could that be made of emptiness?
Well, what's fascinating here is the mechanism behind that paradox. Let's break down those 3 ingredients. Think of structure as an invisible blueprint, or like a code. Then think of energy as the raw power, the battery.
The juice.
Right, the juice. And then think of consciousness as the intention or the observer that actually collapses all that potential into reality.
Yeah, I'm following.
If you have energy, but no structure or intention to guide it, it's just raw, unmanifested potential. It's empty.
So they absolutely need each other to become anything tangible.
Exactly. Think about baking a cake.
Okay, I love a food analogy.
If you look at the fundamental components like flour, sugar, and heat, none of those things in isolation are a cake.
Right, obviously.
If you just have heat, you have nothing tangible at all. It's just energy. And if you just have flour, it's essentially formless dust. They are base components. They are emptiness.
Okay, I see where you're going.
But when you combine the structure of a recipe, the physical energy of the heat, and the consciousness of the baker actually executing the steps.
Suddenly you have a cake. You have this entirely new, tangible thing. You have form.
Exactly. The individual components are imperceptible as the final product until they unify. The text actually says, once the 3 join together, though, there is lustrous and dazzling form, changing countlessly and into a myriad of images.
That makes so much more sense. But this leads me to a major question for you.
Lay it on me.
If the text insists that form ultimately comes from emptiness, and form literally is emptiness, does that mean pursuing material things is essentially chasing ghosts?
That's a very fair question.
Because if my house, my bank account, my career are all just temporary combinations of invisible elements, why bother building anything at all?
Well, the text addresses that exact tension through the concept of symmetry. Xu Feng describes the universe as a symmetrically arranged 36-dimensional space.
36 dimensions, that sounds a bit sci-fi.
It does, but don't get lost in the sci-fi sound of it. He is using this as a spatial theoretical framework to describe a reality that is perfectly, inescapably balanced across every conceivable axis.
Okay, perfectly balanced.
Right. In this completely symmetrical space, the forces of action and reaction are absolutely equal and opposite. So it's not that pursuing form is pointless. The real issue is boundlessly pursuing form.
Boundlessly pursuing it, meaning like never knowing when to stop.
Exactly. The text calls it avarice, because every single action demands a reaction. Trying to hoard form triggers an equal and opposite reaction of destruction from the universe itself.
Wait, really? Destruction?
Yes. The text states an outstanding tree in the forest will be destroyed by wind.
Wow, an outstanding tree in the forest will be destroyed by wind. That is quite a visual.
Nature demands equilibrium. If you build your business or pursue wealth with the understanding that perfection is unattainable and that you are just playing with temporary form,
They stay safe.
you stay balanced within the forest, yeah. But if you try to become the absolute tallest tree, if you hoard resources and disrupt that symmetry, the universe's physics will literally blow you down to restore the baseline.
Okay, so if the universe automatically smacks down the tallest tree just to maintain balance, that means no state of perfection or extreme success can ever last forever.
Nothing lasts forever in a spinning wheel.
Which perfectly explains the most terrifying rule in this text, the idea that hitting a peak is actually the literal beginning of your downfall.
The inevitable cycle. If you pull a rubber band as far as it can possibly go, it doesn't just stay in that state of maximum tension.
It can't.
Right, the physics of the system literally force it to snap back.
The text states this so bluntly, too. It says, extremes meet. When things reach their absolute peak, they go downhill.
Always.
Extreme happiness leads to sorrow. Extreme beauty leads to ugliness. But here is the one that really stopped me in my tracks.
Which one?
The text says that extreme goodness forms evil.
Ah, yes.
It says, great virtue is no virtue, and great benevolence is heartless.
All
I
right.
really struggled with this one. I just don't get it. I mean, how could being too good possibly be a bad thing?
It's counterintuitive, for sure.
Yeah. How can great benevolence be heartless?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we really have to recognize how our limited binary view of morality fails us here.
Our binary view.
Yeah. We tend to think good and bad are fixed points on a map, but Taiji thinking says they are points on a spinning wheel.
Oh, interesting.
Think about a surgeon. Imagine a surgeon performing a life-saving but incredibly invasive surgery.
Oh.
If you walked into the operating room with absolutely no context, seeing someone cut into another person just looks like extreme cruelty.
It looks evil, yeah.
Exactly. It looks evil. But that temporary heartlessness is the ultimate benevolence because it saves a life.
Oh, wow. The harm is necessary for the healing.
Exactly. Let's look at a more common example like helicopter parenting.
Oh, this should be good.
A parent who tries to eliminate every single obstacle, every moment of pain, and every failure from their child's life genuinely believes they are practicing extreme goodness.
They think they're protecting them.
But by sheltering them completely, they completely stifle the child's psychological resilience. That extreme goodness transforms into a very real kind of evil.
Because the kid can't cope.
Right. It releases an adult into the world who is entirely incapable of surviving any kind of hardship.
That is a staggering way to look at it.
Yeah.
And it connects to another quote. The text says, life and death are roots of each other. Every single moment contains both birth and death. As it phrases it, hard is born as soft dies.
Hard is born as soft dies. You cannot have the resilience of the hard without letting go of the comfort of the soft.
Right.
If you try to artificially sustain only the good or only the soft without ever allowing the necessary death or hardness, you just create stagnation. You create the evil by refusing to let the cycle turn.
So you have to let the soft die. And I imagine this principle extends directly to light and dark, right?
Absolutely.
Because they are completely interdependent.
The text tells us that extreme darkness actually is light, and that good fortune lies within bad. And for you, the listener tuning in right now, this is perhaps the most profound practical takeaway.
Yeah, lean in for this one.
You should not fear the dark periods or the rock bottoms in your life.
Because hitting rock bottom isn't just a metaphor in Taiji thinking. It's the literal mathematical reality of this symmetrical space.
Precisely. Because of these endless cycles, hitting your absolute lowest point, what the text calls extreme darkness or exhaustion, is the exact mathematical moment a new beginning is forced to start.
the snapback of the rubber band.
Yes, the momentum of hitting the bottom is the only energy capable of launching you back up. The text says, when things exhaust, they revive. When they end, they begin anew.
It completely reframes failure. I mean, it's not a punishment at all. It's just the universe reloading the spring.
Reloading the spring, I like that.
But this leads to a massive logistical problem.
Okay, what's that?
If we acknowledge that these massive cosmic cycles dictate reality, that extremes breed their opposites, and the wind will inevitably blow down the tallest tree, how do we actually navigate that?
Well,
Because as individuals walking around on Earth, we can't control the cosmic scales.
you can't control the macro, no. But the text argues that we navigate the macro by focusing entirely on the absolute micro.
Yes, body section 3, the power of the micro. The text points out a simple, undeniable fact of physics. Matter is just molecules, and molecules are just atoms.
The biggest things in the universe are just collections of the smallest things.
Right. There's this great quote, "A tree with a full span's girth begins from a tiny sprout, and difficulties are overcome by easy things. Great things are accomplished by the details."
It is a complete rejection of the modern obsession with massive sweeping actions. We are constantly sold this idea that big successes require giant leaps.
Overnight success, the big swing.
But Taiji thinking argues that big success is nothing more than 1,000 tiny mathematically correct actions stacked on top of each other.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. The text says, you must deal with the big while it is yet small.
Right.
But then it also throws in this warning. It says, do not lose track of the big picture.
It requires balance.
So I have to challenge this balance. How do you, as a modern person, focus on these tiny, individual, microscopic details without getting completely lost in the weeds and forgetting what you're even building? Like building a Lego castle one tiny brick at a time and forgetting what the castle looks like.
It's the classic tension between micromanagement and vision, right? Think about steering a massive ocean liner.
Okay.
You don't turn a cruise ship by getting out and pushing the massive hull. It's physically impossible.
Obviously.
You turn the ship by adjusting a tiny, seemingly insignificant piece of metal on the rudder called a trim tab. The trim tab just turns a few degrees.
A tiny shift.
Yeah, that creates low pressure, which turns the rudder, which eventually turns the entire massive ship.
Oh, what? The tiny tab manipulates the larger physics of the water.
Exactly. The text uses a very famous proverb to anchor this concept. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step.
We've all heard that one.
But the crucial synthesis here is that success depends entirely on the present. When people fail at their massive goals, it's rarely because the goal itself was impossible.
Why is it then?
It's because they are standing at the base of the mountain, staring at the peak, and they are so intimidated by the macro that they trip over the pebble right in front of them.
They ignore the easy microscopic steps because they are completely obsessed with the daunting end result.
Dealing with the big while it is small means recognizing that the one email you need to send today, the single phone call you need to make, the one glass of water you need to drink, those aren't distractions from the big picture.
They are the big picture.
Yes. Those are the big picture in its present microscopic form. You hold the vision of the destination in your mind, but you pour 100% of your respect and your energy into turning the tiny trim tab right in front of you.
You give respect to the trim tab. I love that.
It's crucial. But here is the friction. To properly focus on those small details without getting overwhelmed by the 1,000 miles ahead of you, you need a tremendous amount of mental clarity. You need bandwidth.
You do.
And that brings us to the final and honestly the most difficult dialectic we are covering today, the psychology of letting go.
This is where the physical rules of the atomic six-dimensional universe meet human consciousness.
And the text makes this incredibly bold claim. It says, to have nothing is to have everything.
Another massive paradox.
Right. It states that pursuing wealth, power, and lust brings endless trouble, and that we should work on non-existence for existence. And then it introduces this concept of the mind abiding nowhere.
Abiding nowhere.
It says that where the mind abides nowhere, nature or enlightenment, Buddha, nature prevails. Where the mind abides somewhere, nature recedes.
He who focuses too much on the specific cannot see the general. When your consciousness latches on to a single specific outcome, you lose access to the wider universe.
So what does this all mean? Because I have to push back on this pretty hard on behalf of everyone listening. Go for it.
To have nothing is to have everything. It sounds really beautiful if you are on like a month-long meditation retreat in the mountains.
Sure.
But if I call my landlord tomorrow and tell him I'm working on non-existence this month, I'm getting evicted.
Yeah, your landlord probably won't accept Taiji thinking as payment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How is this not just an excuse to be passive? I mean, is it really possible for a modern listener to have their mind abide nowhere while they are simultaneously trying to pay rent, answer emails, feed their kids, and just live a normal functional life?
This raises an important question, and frankly, it is the absolute most common misunderstanding of Eastern dialectics in the West.
Okay, correct me then.
Abiding nowhere is not a synonym for ignoring your responsibilities. It is not an excuse to become a deadbeat. It is about non-interference with natural rules, and specifically, non-attachment to the outcome.
Unpack that difference for us. Non-adaptive to the outcome versus ignoring responsibilities.
Let's use a very modern mechanical analogy. Think of your mind like a computer's RAM. Its processing power.
Okay, bandwidth.
If you have a computer that is using 100% of its RAM to run one single frozen application, say a spreadsheet that won't close, the entire machine becomes useless.
Oh, we've all been there. The spinning wheel of death.
Right. It can't open a browser, it can't play music, it can't even shut down properly. Its mind is abiding so fiercely on that one frozen spreadsheet that it loses its true nature as a multifunctional tool.
The system is entirely consumed by attachment to one specific form.
Exactly. Paying your rent, doing your job, taking care of your kids, that is just running the necessary software of life.
The normal apps.
Abiding somewhere happens when you attach your entire identity and self-worth to a frozen application. It's when you decide you only have value if you get a specific promotion or if a specific person loves you back.
Oh, I see.
It's the desperate clinging to a specific outcome that freezes the system.
The clinging is the avarice we talked about earlier.
Exactly. And the text offers one of the most beautiful quotes to resolve this exact tension. It says, "Rivers run into the sea, so you can never drink them all."
Rivers run into the sea, so you can never drink them all.
You don't need to consume the entire ocean to quench your thirst. Taking just one scoop is the key to maintaining the yin and yang balance.
So you can still participate.
You can participate fully in modern life. You can build a career, you can fall in love, you can generate wealth. But you do it while completely understanding that taking your one scoop is enough. You don't need to control the entire river.
And when you let go of the need to hoard the river, your mind naturally abides nowhere. It unfreezes.
It becomes fluid. And paradoxically, by only needing one scoop, you suddenly have the psychological freedom to enjoy the beauty of the entire ocean without drowning in it.
Wow.
That is what Swafeng means by to have nothing is to have everything. Boundless avarice leads to disaster. Proportion restrains.
It completely flips the script on how we measure success. I mean, we're taught from a young age to try and drink the whole ocean, be the tallest tree in the forest, and all it does is trigger the universe's immune response to knock us back down.
It's exhausting.
It really is. Well, this has been an incredibly eye-opening journey through Xu Feng's The Eight Dialectics of the Universe. We started by looking at the very blueprint of reality, discovering that the universe is a symmetrical dance of form and emptiness.
We're baking a cake with invisible ingredients.
We are. And we learned that because of the flawless symmetry of the 36-dimensional space, extremes will always breed their opposites. Hitting rock bottom isn't the end of your story. It is the mathematical catalyst for your revival.
A built-in reset button.
Yeah, exactly. And we found out that massive, towering success isn't about giant leaps. It's about turning the tiny trim tab. It's giving profound respect to the microscopic details right in front of us.
Step by step.
And finally, we explored the psychology of letting go, realizing that true possession and peace come not from trying to drink the entire river, but from taking our one scoop and letting our minds abide nowhere, free from the desperate need to control every outcome.
It is a profound, deeply practical instruction manual for finding balance in a modern world that constantly pushes us toward extremes.
It really is. It takes these cosmic concepts and grounds them in the reality of our daily lives. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, something that builds on everything we've just discussed, but pushes it into the future.
Oh, I like where this is going. We've talked a lot about the natural world and human ambition, but consider the dialectic that extremes meet, and that hitting an absolute extreme inevitably forces a cycle to snap back and restart.
Okay.
We are currently living in an era where human technology, specifically artificial intelligence, is accelerating toward an absolute extreme of complexity and hypermotion.
It's moving faster than we can comprehend.
Exactly. So if stillness is the ultimate source of motion, and extreme motion must eventually breed extreme stillness, what happens when our technology reaches its absolute maximum peak?
Oh, yeah.
Will it push us further into chaos, or will the mathematical symmetry of the universe force a loop, pushing humanity entirely back into a profound state of nature and stillness?
If the universe truly is a perfectly symmetrical space, the faster we run, the closer we might be getting to a dead stop.
It's inevitable.
Something to think about the next time you open a new tab and ask an AI to do your work for you. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the 8 dialectics. Keep questioning the extremes, keep giving your respect to the tiny details, and keep exploring.